I do the
Sure.
edit.
Okay, yeah. That's my biggest problem is I forget. I'll just yeah.
There you go. Well, welcome. Nice to see everybody joining us on this fine Thursday night. Thank you very much for joining the Creative Collective group. We did have a special guest that was going to be joining us today. We just sent out a quick notice letting everybody know the bad news. Unfortunately, Sarah Weaver was not able to join us tonight. She did have a family emergency. Obviously, our prayers are with her and her family during this time. And we hope that everything, turns out well. And, we'll make sure to get her back on this schedule soon. So tonight, I think what we were gonna do for everybody here is just go through some Q&A, talk about your deal specifically, if you guys have them, answer questions, and any way that we can add value and provide value, we'd love to do so. So I guess we can open it up really quick. We got a couple of folks joining us here. Nikki, Michael, you guys here with us? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No, maybe so.
No.
Okay.
Nikki, right. Michael?
Well, I guess not. So maybe we can just kind of go over some. Oh, there's Michael. What's going on, Michael?
We're just sitting down for family dinner. I was going to try to listen in as best I could.
No problem, man. Let us not let us not interrupt your dinner, brother.
We don't eat. We don't get to eat around here.
Right. Hey, well, there's Heath. How's it going, Heath?
30 deals over the course of just the last.
Nikki's on the call.
Nikki's on the call.
What's up, Heath?
No, that was a previous episode that I think Damon was talking to another agent about wholesaling. So I was on the wrong live. I was on an old live on YouTube.
Okay.
Oh, man, sorry.
Oh, nice.
By the way, man, me and Heath we're supposed to talk today. Sorry I missed you, man. The day literally got away from me. I've been busy.
No worries.
Close on another property. So yeah, man. So talk to me a little bit about, since we're here, right? Talk to me a little bit about what you were wanting to get with me about, and maybe I can help to answer questions.
I was just wanting to reach out and connect. I mean, we hadn't. I've connected with Lance. I think I may have connected with Juan through Facebook, but hadn't actually spoken. And I just want to reach out and make that connection. I do, interestingly enough, have a deal that I was introduced to. I discovered it in a local group on Facebook. And it turns out that the person that I saw the post from is a sub-2 student out of Colorado. And I'm not sure if the wholesaler that he's JVing with out of Pennsylvania is sub-2 as well. But this is it's for a foreclosure in my neighborhood. Well, in my town here in North Carolina. And soldier about to lose his home to foreclosure. And I was running the numbers and the numbers just didn't work. And I was wanting to bounce some creative thought off of some more experienced folks in the community.
So talk to me about it. Obviously, don't give up the address. You want to
sure. This is not my deal. I approached them about what the opportunity is, because it was posted as a sub-2 deal, and I was looking at it as as an end buyer, right? So the house is listed for over.
Is this a deal that the wholesaler currently has under contract?
It is currently under contract.
Okay.
But this deal is not. It doesn't look like it's going to go anywhere. If, in fact, if someone thinks that they can work it, I'm happy to put you in contact with the person that I'm been talking to. But right
let's-
now.
let's talk about the numbers, right? Why?
Yeah.
Let's find out why the deal doesn't work first, right?
All right.
What's the like? Give me a breakdown on the numbers.
All right. So the deal is listed with an agent right now. It's listed at 410.
Okay.
The current mortgage balance, principal balance, is 360 and some change.
Okay.
12.5 in arrears.
Okay.
Under the current structure, they're looking for between estimated. Hold on, let me pull up the actual numbers here. Because the reality is they were telling me that we're looking at a total entry of like 55K covering arrears, commissions.
Sounds like
closing
everybody
costs.
wants to get a. Sounds like everybody wants to get a piece of this veteran as usual. So
Right. And so, but pulling up comps, the next closest comp closed on July 13th for 371. Almost an identical home, same neighborhood.
So about 30 days ago, roughly, for
Yeah.
37. Okay.
So by my math, they're 40 grand overpriced.
Yeah, well, maybe, right? I mean, so does this house need any repair?
It does not appear. I've not done a physical inspection of it. I was offered, but once I ran the numbers, it didn't make sense.
When was the house built?
2014, I believe.
Yeah, so fairly new. If it needs any repair, we would hope that it's minor, like 15.
I don't.
20.
It doesn't look like it needs repair, right?
Okay.
So here's the thing. Notwithstanding the 55K entry, right? On a sub 2, realizing that the comps are pulling, 40 grand under list price. When I ran rentometer came in at right at 2250, right? For standard long-term rental, right?
Square footage on the home?
Square footage is hold on one second. I got it pulled up here still. I want to say, I don't want to lie.
Hey, Heath, is
It's
this house already going to auction? Like,
So
do they have an auction date?
I did not see an auction date.
Yeah.
But I've been dealing with the sub 2 guy through the wholesaler, through the agent to the homeowner, right? So I'm getting my information like fourth hand.
So yeah, tell me what the square footage is real quick on it, because I think I've got an idea of the way that this.
And then I've got a couple of ideas that I wanted to run by you as well. The square footage is it's showing is right at 3,000 square feet.
Okay.
It's a 5.3.
Okay. Yeah, so I would say
built in 2017.
And
Wow.
you know this area better than I do. I mean, here in Houston right now, I'm in, North Houston area, I'm getting about $1 a square foot, right? That's about typical. So
Yeah.
sometimes rentometer is a little bit of a liar, right? Especially on the larger square foot homes, because it goes by the kind of, I think it takes averages right off the area and not necessarily looking at the house as a whole. I would say you could probably get closer to 3,000 for it a month than what you could 2,250. I mean, I would say if I was a betting man, I could probably rent it for 2,800, maybe 2,700 and get away with it.
Well, keep in mind, we're around a military installation, and rent prices are driven heavily by BAH.
Yeah, but let's be honest too, right? And I see all the military memorabilia behind you. The guys that are renting that house are not enlisted guys; those are officers, right?
Yeah.
And he's probably going to be a little bit of a higher ranking officer, probably major, captain. I doubt the lieutenants are probably renting a house like that one. They're probably going to be renting the smaller ones.
Yeah, so I'm a captain, and my BAH for the area is 1750.
Okay, 1750. All right. So, all right. I mean, so maybe we're grabbing at straws. I guess if we look at it, maybe 2,500. Then what are you feeling? Is 2,250 dead on, or?
I think maybe you could stretch it to 25. But let me kind of throw out some thoughts that I had, and I gave these thoughts back to my point of contact. Right? I said, hey, take these potential solutions back and socialize them with the agent, with the homeowner, whatever. Here are some possible solutions. If you can make it work it out, great. And if there's still an opportunity for me, great. Happy to participate. But I came across 3 ideas that I threw out. Number one, he was already rejected for a loan mod, but I don't know how long ago that was. I suggested a potential appeal of the loan mod, right? To reduce the arrears, or at least put them back. It's a VA. I want to say it's a 4.7 on the rate, 4.75. Yeah, I think that's right.
Be probably like a good homestead purchase for somebody. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I said, you can try and rework a loan mod. Since it's been listed for the current time, 55 days, but it's a relist because of a price reduction, you might be able to try and go in and negotiate a short sale if you wanted to do some type of traditional financing.
Let me ask you, are you an agent in the area?
I am not.
Do you have any buddies that might be a real estate agent?
I do.
Okay. So I'll give you, hey, let me close my office door really quick, guys. My wife is coming back and my minions are going to go crazy here. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, guys. So here's what I would suggest on that loan mod, right? Getting back to that option. Being an agent here, I had one, and the numbers were kind of tight, right? And what I did is I had him go in and renegotiate the loan mod, right? Just to turn in the paperwork so that I could get it listed across the MLS as a loan mod. But then what I did is all of those investors that were willing to purchase in cash, I gave them the sub 2 option. And they hopped all over it, right? Because instead of, let's say it's short sale and they take, I don't know, 260, 270, somewhere in there. Those guys are willing to pay that all day long, right? But if I can get them into the house at 55, right, it makes a lot of sense. So that's one avenue of approach for you. But I also think the other avenue of approach is, hey, agent, you've got this thing listed way too high, right? Let's just be honest about that. I'm a captain. I'm out to help this veteran, and you're not going to help him. You're going to push this house into foreclosure, right? Would you be willing to possibly step away from the deal, and I'll still get you paid, but it's not going to be your 3%. I'll pay you a finder's fee on it, right? This may be one option to lower the actual pay-in, right? And that might set you out for a wrap. Because what I'm trying to do is to possibly get you as close to that 10% entry on the 371 that we possibly can, right? If we can reach a place where we're 37 to 40K, right, that deal works all day long for a wrap. You can do it for 10% down payment, from somebody, get them into it, and then 2 years, especially in that area, right? That guy can go in and refi that thing at 4.5%, 5%, and it'll be a great deal for him.
Yeah.
Uh,
The other thought that I had, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I was gonna, so kind of along the lines with what Damon's going with, right? I definitely would dissect the entry fee, right? 55K it sounds way too high, especially if the reinstatement is 12. Then I mean we're talking over 40K in fees elsewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
definitely dissect, the agent fees, right? Are they looking for their full 3% on this? What's the wholesaler wanting to get on this? Because there's a wholesaler on here. He's probably wanting to get 20.
Yeah.
It sounds-
Here's the breakout.
okay, cool.
360 principal. I'm rounding close to numbers. 13 on arrears,
All right.
which is going to go up with the 9/1 the September 1st payment,
Right.
which I don't think he made. They're calculating 6,700 in closing costs assistance to the seller for a total of 19,589 total to the seller, and then
To the seller?
yeah,
Why is the seller?
if you're doing arrears, you're paying the 13 grand in arrears and then $6,700 in closing cost assistance to the seller, right?
No,
And then he's saying that buyer closing costs are going to be 5,700,
buyer.
and the buyer pays 1.5% of the seller commission.
Yeah. So what I would do there is with the reinstatement, always ask them for an actual reinstatement letter.
Yeah.
Right. So they should have a copy of it already.
Yeah.
So that should be the breakdown, because there shouldn't be anything going to the seller when it comes to that. The reinstatement should basically have the amount that the lender is expecting, the fees, attorney fees, and attorney, whatever the attorney throws on, right? That's what you should have in that reinstatement letter, and it should tell you exactly what that breakdown is.
Right.
So I would look at that. I would request that, right away. First and foremost, you want to see that. And then was there a breakdown, or was there a what's the assignment fee for the whole?
So what I'm seeing by doing the math here is basically we're looking at 25 grand to cover closing costs and arrears, total closing costs and arrears, and then the rest of it is all assignment fee. Well, it sounds like to me they're trying to pay a $25,000 assignment fee.
That's what I said. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
I'd be straight out of the gate as Juan will tell you, man. Like, because we just went through that, right, Juan? I mean,
yep.
So look, this is a conversation of, hey, I want to get this done, wholesaler, but I'm not going to pay $25,000 in a assignment. I'm not going to, nor is
anyone else,
right? Because when the numbers flush out, I've got to be 10% or under on this deal, right? And there's no investor. I'm telling you right now, there is no investor that's going to pay that. No way. And the way that I'm
no
looking
room
at,
to pay that.
well, I mean, just if I'm just shooting off the cuff, right, and I'm like running numbers, I'm not there, and we can obviously sit down and run some hard numbers and do this, but if I'm looking at 12.5 in arrears, if I'm looking at, let's say an average wholesale fee of between $10,000 and $13,000, and I'm looking at 12,300 to the realtor, we're at 37.8, right? 37.8.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at closing costs on this, I mean, closing costs on that sub two is it should not constitute really any more than, I mean, now correct me if I'm wrong there, Juan, but 3% on the deal, right? I mean, that's, I don't know if I'm like shooting some crazy stuff here, but I mean, you're looking at somewhere between 10 and 12. I mean, but you know, let's just say 10. I mean, I'm at
Yeah.
47.8, right? So yeah, here's where I really think that you can etch into this, right? Number one, it's a talk with the agent. Hey, agent, I'm happy to get you paid, but look, it's not going to be the 3%. It's
Right.
not going to, right? We're going to have to negotiate and come to a reasonable price because you're explaining to her, I've got to be at 10%. That's where I'm at. And then the other talk is with the wholesaler. Let's get real, man. I've got the cash. I can make this happen. How bad do you want to get it done? I'll show you a proof of funds and you can send him, you know, a proof of funds, and you say, you give me a reasonable average wholesale fee, of between $10,000 and $13,000, which is the national average, right?
Yeah.
And hey, you get me somewhere close to 10%, and we'll get this deal done.
Yeah, here's the thing, Heath. I mean, I'm a wholesaler, right? I've done a lot of wholesale deals myself, and any good wholesaler is going to always adjust their assignment fee based on the fact that they have a deal to sell or not. You know, if a wholesaler is stuck on a fee that they say 25, that's our fee, that's it, right? Then a lot of times they're not really analyzing the deal to make it worth the buyer's while, right? So ultimately what needs to happen is, you know, I don't know anything about this wholesaler, and I'm not talking negative about them. What I'm saying is that in order for them to understand the deal and be able to sell it, they have to understand how it all breaks down for the buyer and how it all makes sense for everybody involved. So like I've had to take you know, a way lower assignment fee sometimes to make the deal work.
Yeah.
So it's all about you know, getting into that conversation with the wholesaler and with the agent and saying, look, we all want to get a piece of the pie here. It's just not going to be as big a piece as you think it's going to be. And ultimately all of us should be focused on helping this veteran out.
Yeah.
And
If we are, we can all make this work.
and
The other scenario that I was thinking of, and Damon, you talked about a wrap.
Mhm.
I was thinking about a lease option.
Yeah, so this is definitely an option, right? It's a good option here in the state of Texas. Not such a good option.
Oh, yeah, you're limited on time there, but here in North Carolina,
Yeah, but in North Carolina, that works.
so kind of thinking about that, and if nothing else, maybe if not reducing the realtor commission, deferring it until execution.
Yep, you could do this too.
So
And I think something else to keep in mind, and this is just, you know, as you're looking at the investment as a whole, once I get deals like this, right, I have a CPA, you know, well, depending on the CPA you have, but they'll run a cost seg analysis on this thing. And they'll run a cost seg analysis, and I'll take $60,000-$80,000 in accelerated depreciation on it. And I'll clear easily on a house like that $20,000 in tax at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, right, you could effectively put that 20K back in your pocket. So if you think about what you're actually putting in at the end of the year, you know, plus you're actually getting that, you know, monthly $400 or $500 a month, whatever it is, right?
yeah. The other thing, notwithstanding getting into the deal, looking back into cash flowing it, not just from a long-term rental, but and I haven't gotten a response from them yet. But I thought about it as a like a house hack kind of deal. It's a 5-bedroom.
love
You know, maybe instead of trying to clean the clock of one renter, right? Maybe get 4 or 5 others in there.
Well,
Yeah,
so
so this
A month.
is a
there's
great idea.
there's so many different exit strategies that you can
Yeah.
use on this, especially being a 5-bedroom, right? I mean, you could be looking at a pad split, you could be looking at sober living if if this house is in an HOA or not, right? That's gonna be big.
Yeah.
Uh,
So HOA, we know there's no rental restrictions.
Man, cool. So those are great, exit strategies that you have there.
I see where you're headed with it too, being near a military base, right? That I think that's a fantastic idea because
Yeah.
you could do co-living there, right? Give them internet, give them utilities, work it in, probably run $800 a room, if not more, depending on there. I mean, that's a pretty base rate between 750 and 800 a room, all utilities included, internet, right? You'll clear 4,000. And it's no more difficult to run that than it is to do, a normal rent, or if somebody doesn't pay, I just do a normal eviction, right? But yeah, I mean, you could clear $4,000 a month easy on that house doing that.
Yeah. Particularly around Fort Bragg. Well, now Fort Liberty. There are so many,
Yep.
retirees, vets that are eligible for the housing assistance.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, that was
I think
kind
you
of,
gotta-
I wanted to get,
man,
yeah,
I think it's a fantastic idea. It sounds like a heck of a house. I'd love to help you in any way I can to negotiate or talk with them to make it happen for you. Um, and I love to get on the phone with those wholesalers, as Juan will tell you. And I've been all day long, right? So, and it's not, you don't got to be rough with them. It's just, giving them a realistic perspective. Hey, this isn't my first, this isn't my first time around the tool shed. You know what I mean? Like, let's get realistic about this deal. And I think you could probably get it done at the end of the day, because I believe that the agent probably, if you're talking about, the agent themselves with fiduciary responsibility, and, they, they're going to want what's best for this vet. As long as they make a little bit out of it, they ought to be happy. So I think all that you really got left at that point is reel in the wholesaler, right?
so then my question for you is, because I'm I know about traditional finance, but creative, sub-2, all of that is something I'm pretty new at, right? Would you communicate directly with the agent, or would you continue to go through 3 levels of?
Yeah, I'd go right to the agent.
Okay.
I'd go right to the agent. And not because I'm bypassing necessarily the wholesaler, right? He's got it under contract. So what fear does he have of
Yeah.
losing it? But I am, again, I do think, right, I am always apt to go to the person that has fiduciary responsibility. I know
Yeah.
people scream, oh, these agents and this and that, but I'm an agent and I know what I'm doing. And so I have to believe that agent probably has a little different perspective than the wholesaler does, right? The
Sure.
wholesaler is there, to get the deal under contract and get the deal sold, but they don't necessarily have any fiduciary responsibility to that person.
Right.
And that's
right.
a very different thing, right? So yes, to answer your question shortly, I would go to the agent and have that conversation.
All right. Well, cool.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm an agent here in Texas. I'm not in North Carolina, but when I talk to them, I always start that, hey, I'm an agent here in Texas. I'm a veteran as well. And, I really want what's best for this guy. Would you mind if we have a conversation about this house and to see if we might be able to come to something that'll that'll get this guy taken care of, because it wrenches my heart, man, to see vets
Yeah.
in these situations and have all the chicken hawks after them. You know what I mean?
I know. I know. I saw it through 2008. So
I know you did, man.
anyway, I definitely appreciate it. Thank you all.
Yes, tomorrow, if you're free. I am sorry, time got away from me today, but
No
I
worries,
will make
man.
to get on the horn with you.
Yeah, no worries.
I
No worries. I
appreciate
appreciate you.
and thank you for your service, man. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you too. So appreciate that. So,
Right, man.
and Juan, thank you. Appreciate your input. Look forward to bringing more deals.
Absolutely. Yep. All right, man. Take it away, Juan. That was a good. That's a good first start on trying to help somebody out on a deal, man. Yeah, that's what I say, guys. Is and Juan will probably second it. It's so good to bounce things off of everyone, right? Because as you're thinking it through, you might not have all the answers. Somebody's got some, Juan's got some, and eventually you kind of put those things together to come up with a good game plan to get the deal done. But this is the reality, right? These deals ebb and flow. Nothing is etched in stone. Everything in real estate is negotiable. That's the beauty of it. So anyways, anybody else got anything to share out there? Lance, Juan, I'll let you guys take it away.
I am miserable right now, suffering from allergies, so I am out of it completely. My head is in the clouds right now. You see, I look like Rudolph, man. Look at that. Look at that.
I was about to say,
nose.
Lance looks like he's been pulling Santa's sleigh.
Dude, right? It's not even cold out. I'm experiencing this East Texas BS, dude. It sucks.
It's called Welcome to Texas.
Oh, dude. Packing my shit. Oh, dude.
Yeah, I remember when we first moved to Texas, man. I remember my wife used to get allergies back in Cali, right? It wasn't that bad, but she used to get them. And I never had allergies ever. And she's like, "How do you not have allergies?" Like, well, just don't have allergies. We got here to Texas. I'm like, what's this itchy stuff going around my eyes? And why are my nose burning? And she's like, welcome to allergies. It's like it happened here in Texas, man. So
Yeah, you're around Austin, right?
yes, sir. That's exactly right.
You got all the cedar.
I was just telling Lance, I was like, we got ragweed right now. That's what's but in January, oh my gosh, when that cedar hits, that's bad.
Yeah. All
Really
those days over 100 degrees consecutive don't help.
And
Not at all. Not
been
at all.
It's not.
it's funny, this week we had a cold front blow through, right? The first cold front of the season, and we've dropped into the 90s. So, hey.
I saw people walking around with thermos and
I know.
yeah. So who else has any deals to discuss? He brought a good one to start off the call. Anyone else has any deals that they wanted to bring up or talk about, or any wins? Miguel, you got anything?
I know Justin does. He's hopping on.
Okay,
He's one of our local guys here. Oh, he didn't make it. His internet must not be good.
Okay. How about Patricia?
I don't know. I guess I can share the wins as they go during the week on Porter about sticking with it, there are days, man, where it's like
Yes, Patricia.
you get onto a property that you feel like is going to be fantastic. I know it's fantastic. We get the appraisal back. It appraises at 650,000. We've got the deal for 350,000. It was 390, but I the way that I do, push the wholesaler out of the way, and now it's 350. And so, but man, the loaning company that we're going to get it done. We love this deal. They get the appraisal back, and then they're like, we're going to forego this one. I was like, really? After after 30 days of doing this, right? And so now here we are again, right? But luckily I signed into a contract with the seller and I've got another 45 days. So I'm back to the grindstone on, finding a lender that'll go with the deal. So it's not that I'm not going to get it done. It's just, man, you've got to stay vigilant. Like I think most people by now, they would say, forget it and move on to the next one, right? But bound and determined, I see the potential in this place. It's 0.89 acres of unrestricted property. It's got a 5-bed, 2-bath house on it. It was a trailer home that was converted into a 5-bed, 2-bath. It's got an RV that's been converted into a full house, 2-bed, 1-bath. It's got a 3 1-bed, 1-bath triplex on it, and then a duplex that's got a 2-bed, 2-bath upstairs and down. And I was super concerned at first. I was like, oh man, these apartments, these renters have been there a long time. It's going to be run down. And man, I actually got to get into the apartments to see all of the apartments when they did the appraisal, all brand new. They've all been redone.
Nice.
So oh my goodness. So yeah, man, I guess the win for the week is mindset, as Lance always talks about, man. I've had to step away from this thing and be like, man, reassess and reevaluate and get on top of it and push forward. So
Yeah.
I love that. I could kind of bounce off of that a little bit with our mobile home park, right? We've been we're going on like 4 or 5 months now on this thing. And as we dig deeper into it, we're past our inspection period now. And so we have the property management company just verifying some things and just digging in on some of the septic things. And, like we've already done inspections, but some things are coming up as we're talking to the renters. And they're like, oh, I'm having issues with my water and I'm having issues with septic. And I'm like, oh, shoot, so we're going back revisiting, and I had to go back and talk to the seller again today and have a difficult conversation with them. It's like, man, we don't have 20, 40, $50,000 to put into this park year one. That's not going to happen. So what does that mean? We're going back to negotiations. And he's open to it, but he's like, oh, it ain't no 20,000. It ain't no 20, $30,000. I can pay Pedro. Literally said this. He's got a guy named Pedro. He's like, I can pay Pedro to go do that for $7,000. And I'm like, hey, do it. That's fine. I'll give you the list. If you can pay somebody less to do it and take care of these problems, then I'm okay with that. But at the end of the day, this is what is going on, But, like you said, we've had to go back several times and negotiate because it just wasn't, as we dig into our due diligence and dig into things and our amazing capital partner who's on the call here, but she's very, very detailed and she's helped us find some things that we actually wouldn't have thought about. Right. And it might not be an issue, but it could be a huge issue. So, just digging in and having those conversations up front before we actually close on it, is and we're all learning, man, we're all learning. So it's been an interesting experience. But sticking with it.
It's like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Lance, but like what that brings to mind is, in those times, like frustration, man, like you're like, God, like, you just can't help it. You feel the frustration, but then you've got to like get yourself under control and center your mind and get away from the frustration and really try to focus in so that you can have a meaningful conversation that's not built in frustration, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I was getting upset. I was driving to the gym this morning thinking about it. I was like, damn it. We're so close. We've spent thousands of dollars, on inspections and all these different things. And I'm like, damn, we've come so far. am I willing to walk away from this at this point? Or, do we take the chance and maybe get ourselves in trouble? Or do we go back to the drawing board and renegotiate? At the end of the day, you have to be willing to walk away though, to be willing to walk away from something if it doesn't pencil, no matter how, and that's the hard part. You get emotionally attached, and to some of these deals, and you're just like, damn. You're already there in your mind, you're closed, you're like, you're cash flowing and everything. And then when something comes up, it's like, son of a bitch, it's tough, man. It is a challenge for sure. I had to work through that on the way to my gym, and I'm on the elliptical and I'm just like sweating my butt off. And I'm like, like hashing it out in my head. And I came to a place to where like, hey, we'll tell him what we need. And if he decides that he doesn't want to, work with us, then hey, we have to be willing to say, okay, it's not going to work, even this far down the road,
I love that resilience, right? And I'll say I don't think it's for the weak of heart, right? Like when you first come into investing, it's really easy to get married into those deals, and I see that happen, man. They'll get started and they're so far into it, they're not willing to leave it. They're there at all costs. And they want to ignore maybe, some of the hazard signs.
Yeah.
And I think for me, probably like all, we've learned along the way, hey, those hazard signs are meaningful. And I do have to be willing to walk away from this deal. And funny enough, on this deal, as we were sitting back down, on ours to speak to yours, because we were sitting back down at the negotiation table basically to sign another contract with this seller after I get the wholesaler out of the way. And the seller starts telling me, well, I've got these, they've costed me so much money because I've had to hold on to the property. And, now I've just gotten another tax bill in, and, the county's wanting to charge me $6,800 for taxes. And, would there be, she starts crying, man. I mean, just sobbing, right? And in tears. And through all of that, I still had to keep, like, I'm empathetic and I do understand, right? But these are real people who have real problems, and you can't forget that at the end of the day. Yeah. She's trying to step away from this property because she's 72 years old and she can't manage it anymore. It's too much, right? So I have to assess, right? Okay, am I willing to do something for her additional, or am I not, right? And in the moment, I started to negotiate, right? Hey, maybe I can meet you halfway on that, right? Like, let's talk about halfway. And I'm thinking to myself, just like you, man, I sank $4,600 into the appraisal. I'm $5,000 in earnest money in, and now she wants another 3,400 out of me,
Yeah.
And so anyways, cooler heads prevail when it comes to this.
Yep.
Cooler heads prevail for sure, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that, dude. Yeah. Yeah. So
if I can say something, I feel like we've been working this deal pretty well because like Jesse and I just sit down, and I, just like you, I'm also a real estate broker here in South Florida. So and I've also invested in multifamily deals. So I know like a lot of the processes that we have to go through before we actually close, that not a lot of people are familiar with, and that's how sometimes the sellers get away with things. So we're like going through all the detail, and Jesse's like so spot on. She's like super sharp on everything. And then we just come to Lance, and we're like, this is what we're finding. And then Lance just gets like the recap of it all, so he doesn't have to get bogged down with all the details. And then he just goes and he acts on it. So I think that was a pretty good teamwork there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work, man, for sure.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, hey, you ladies figure out what you want me to do and say, and I'll bring it to them. So they're the smart ones. I'm the pit bull, right? Like, just sick me after them, and I'll go and do whatever needs to be done.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
So funny enough, you know, we were talking about our guest that I guess wasn't able to make it for, you know, whatever the family reasons. And
Yeah.
man, that sent me out today. And I was like, you know, I don't want to say frustrated, right? I'm empathetic to her situation. I understand.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, you know, we got to find a guest. I was stressing out about the show, right? Nothing planned for the podcast.
Yeah.
And even in light of that, like I had to reassess, calm myself down. Everything is going to be okay. We're going to come on. We're going to find something to talk about. But funny enough, that got me kind of working on the podcast and doing some things to, you know, look at bringing more value to people. And of course, that got me working on a new guest that we did get on the show. He's scheduled for a little further out in October, but I promise you guys, when it comes to multifamily, you're going to be blown away by this guy. He is roughly in his late 30s here in Houston, and he's well into the $1 billion stakes in property. He just came off of just getting married and went on his honeymoon was basically going to see all of the wonders of the world with his new wife, right? So we got to watch him on his Instagram take 2 weeks off and travel the world, Singapore, Egypt, you know, Australia. And I'm just sitting back going, wow, like what an amazing thing to be able to do with your new wife. And then I think now after that, he's got scheduled to go drive his Ferraris around or something like that. I think he's going to take out his new cars. So, but anyways, this new guest is coming on, and he's got a little, you know, like we had Vina Jetty on before. You know, she's got one way of going after multifamily, but he's got a kind of a different way, right? And I think Lance, you got and Jesse got to run into him a little bit while you were in Vegas, right? That's where it was.
I believe
Vegas?
so. Yeah. Yep. It was at that multifamily conference that Vina was speaking at. He was there.
He had I think he has some pretty interesting takes on that. So I was excited,
Yeah.
right? Like all said and done, you kind of calm yourself down, reassess, realign, and you pull in a really cool guest. And, you know, speaking of that, I've been working on some more very big guests that are going to be coming on. And I'm really working on with everybody, you know, trying to, you know, do things to make the show more professional and look better and just bring as much value to this community as what I possibly can. I love the Sub 2 community. I love PACE, but at the same time, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are doing things outside of the box. They are figuring out how to make money in very different ways, right? Going and buying businesses with creative finance, real estate, people that are in the insurance industry, the oil and gas industry. There are entrepreneurs all over the place that are doing amazing things. And that's kind of what I'm trying to kind of bring to the channel, right?
Yep.
Showing everybody cool ways to go about making additional money. So anyways, yeah.
Hey, don't we have a guy coming on who does infinite banking? Is that next week? Or
Correct, man. We've got an absolute mastermind in the infinite banking area.
yes.
I hate to even say their names before they come up, right? Because I want to save that and build up. But yeah, you know, Juan's been working, I think, a little bit with him. Justin AB in our group has worked a little bit with him, and I am about to start working with him.
Nice.
We are all working on setting up infinite banking. So we can play our own bank on loaning, right? I'm in a place where, you know, you've got funds that are sitting. Why not use them, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's so many different strategies to that, you know, infinite banking system, right? You can leverage it for, you know, of course, investing if you have lazy money. Another great way to do it is a great tool for debt reduction or debt elimination. I mean, great tool to be used. But yeah, guy we got on next week, man. I mean, I've worked with him personally, and he's a
It's
beast.
powerful.
He's a beast. So I'm excited about next week.
And I think what I love about him the most is his story. He is a very common, down to earth guy, which is what I love about these. I hate when people get full of themselves, and start to think that they're better than everybody else. I come from, humble beginnings. May I never be that person.
Yeah.
And I often say, like Keith, man, having been in the military, I walked in the shadows of absolute heroes, right? And so I never, ever get full of myself. And so when a guy who comes from a blue collar background and, just educated himself along the way about doing this and retired and, now does this full time. And when I tell you, I know for a fact that he's doing well at it. He just loaned out $200,000 to a guy on an investment, and he's making 18% on his money, month over month over month, right? So he is a smart guy. And funny enough, Justin's in town here in Houston. He flew in from San Francisco. He's been staying at my house, so he's not on.
Nice.
He's at like a money raising conference. But we actually went and met with the guy that he invested with here in Houston. And I want to get that guy on, because when I tell you smart guy who is doing some really interesting things, he's, he's in the trucking industry sort of, but he's bringing in investors and buying trucks and putting blue collar workers into jobs. And he's now supplying fuel wholesale, and he's out buying businesses to roll into his business on top of it. Amazingly smart guy. So I'm going to try to get him on as well. So anyways, that being said, man, mindset, right? Like I guess I just got really focused and was like, man, I really want to work to bring everybody in here as much value as I can.
I love that. I got a guy actually I've been talking to. He's basically kind of like my life coach, but he started off as a family coach, right? I was having struggles with my daughter's 23 and my son's 16. They start getting to that adult age, and you kind of have to shift your parenting a little bit into some different, because it's otherwise we were just like, man, my demanding respect, hard, tough love stuff was not working. And I felt like I was drifting apart from my kids. So I hired this guy. He's got a business called Dads Who Lead. And this guy changed my outlook and helped me start rebuilding really solid relationships with my kids. And I've been talking to him about coming on, but the thing is, we've talked about before, being healthy in all areas of your life. Once you start building wealth and finding success, like you guys know, I've been on a health journey, right? I'm at a weight I haven't seen in over 10 years, guys. Like there's some things going on that are freaking awesome, and I'm trying to get that whole circle of everything health, right? Building healthy relationships, financial, physical and everything, mental. So we could have him on. We could hop on a Zoom if you want, but he's a really cool, sharp dude.
I think that's amazing, right? And I'm the first to say I feed off of everyone in that light, right? Like I watch Jocko and Goggins and all these guys, right? And they speak into my life, and I speak into others, and that's what it's really about, right? And so like Justin came down here, and Justin's not big on the working out, right? He's even said like, man, I've been kind of trying to do it, and man, I thrust him into the frying pan when he came down here, because I said, you can stay with me, that's fine. Part of staying with me means that you work out with me.
That's
so
awesome,
I'm blessed to have a gym at my house that would rival most commercial gyms, and I've put him through the grinder for 2 days. I took him to jiu-jitsu the last 2 days, and he actually got to see me run over some brown belts and stuff last night. And so
nice.
Yeah, man. So
any video of that by any chance? I'd love to see that.
Man, I don't know if he took video or not, but I know I had a brown belt at the gym that wanted to get a little spry last night, so
Oh, nice.
I railroaded him for about 5 minutes. So
I'd love to see that too. I was referring to Justin's workout routine that you threw him into.
yeah, I'm not sure if Justin would want me to take video of that, but I look, I love the fact though that he's willing to get outside of his comfort zone and
Yep.
get in there and try. He knows it's going to be tough, right? But he's willing to do it and grow. And I think, right, that's the key, right?
Yep.
Like, hey, I'm good at working out, but I don't know a whole lot about the multifamily space. I'm still learning about that. Justin knows, a lot about that and syndication and
Yep.
learning. Lance knows a ton about the mobile home park space, and Juan knows a ton about wholesaling, and Patricia knows, she's a broker, right? It's like I just constantly try to surround myself with people that are above me in some shape, form, or fashion, right? That way I can hopefully bring value to them in some way, but I can also retain value from them in some kind of way. As Cat Williams once said, I don't want to be with guys that are doing the same thing last year that they're doing this year, right? Like I think he kind of, that's a paraphrase on how he put it, right? But I mean, it's true, man. I no longer have time at 49 years old to waste my time with people that are stuck doing the same thing year after year and expecting the success out of that.
Yeah, I agree, man. 100%. I think I like how Pace says it. Your friends, you got to stop hanging out with your friends and family. They're pieces of crap. He literally says that, dude. And you're like, whoa, dude. It's pretty brash, but he's right, man. You have to limit your time. Like, of course, you're going to love on your friends and your family, but we're all growing, together. We're all like-minded, everyone in this room. And as we move and continue to grow, we're leaving them kind of behind, and they try to grab us and pull us back down, right? Because people get jealous, that unfortunately.
Bucket of crabs. Bucket of crabs,
dude.
man. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People will try and grab you and pull you down, dude, constantly. And they see
Yeah.
you succeeding. Yep.
If you categorize your friends, eventually you end up having once a year friends, once every 6 months, friends, once a month friends, and then once every week friends, and then you have your daily friends, right? You start kind of putting these friends down into those zones, and I think you end up surrounding yourself with those people that are going to help you pull up.
Yep.
Yeah, I think as I often say, right, as we come into the last 3 minutes of the podcast today, time is the most valuable thing that we have, and you can never get it back. And there's many times that I sit down and I wonder at 49, how much time have I wasted? Right? How much time am I spending trying to catch up to all the wasted time, right? And when I came back and ended up being a homeless, vet for 4.5 years, I swore to myself, right, that my kids would never, and understanding I just had a new baby, right? I mean, literally, 9 months to the day of coming back from Iraq, right? And I swore to myself at that moment that my kids would never have to do what I've done. So everything that I do, kind of like Abraham says, right, is to create freedom. Freedom for me, freedom for my family, freedom for my kids. That's my why. And so for me, my time is so valuable because I know, right, from watching guys that didn't come home from Iraq, that time is a precious thing, and we're not guaranteed, another day. So I don't know how you guys feel, but I swore to myself, man, that I would make every single day worth it, right? I often say that I spend every day trying to get 1% better because that's the way that I honor the guys that didn't come back. Right. So it is my obligation to get my hind parts out of bed at 4:30 in the morning and go get my workouts done and get on the phone and get all the things that I have to get done in a day. And I don't complain about being tired. And it's kind of like I told Justin the other day, I might not be the smartest guy in the room, but by God, I will outwork you. I promise you I will outwork you. I will
Yep.
stay up 10 days just to outwork you, right?
Yep.
Like, yeah. So
I love it.
take it for what it's worth, guys. Time is the most precious thing we have. And as always, I appreciate all of your time coming in and spending with us because you guys are the reason why I come on here every day. So, or every Thursday anyway.
That's right. Sweet, man. Thank you for that. That was it hits hard, man. You're right. It's a precious commodity, the most precious commodity that we have.
Yep. So that being said, I love all you guys. I gotta run. My family's back. All my kids come in here and drive my wife absolutely crazy. But yeah, on that note, make the 24 hours that you have in each day the most meaningful 24 hours that they can possibly be, and go out and attack this week. And I hopefully everybody will come back with some awesome wins in 7 days. Awesome, guys. Talk soon, man. Bye.
See you guys. Thanks, everybody.